What if an unwanted guest, incredibly tiny but unbelievably fast, was about to fly past Earth at the speed of light? What if that guest was a black hole? Even the smallest one could potentially rip our planet to shreds. Today, we're exploring what would happen if different black holes, from the tiniest to the most stupendously large, shot past our planet. Things are about to get bad. Black holes come in all shapes and sizes. Most are stellar mass black holes, born when a star at least 8 times heavier than our Sun collapses into a tiny, super-dense object. The closest one to us, Gaia BH1, is 1,560 light-years away. It's nearly 10 times as massive as our Sun, but its event horizon is only about 59 kilometers wide. We'll send that one our way in a bit. But first, let's talk about black holes no one has ever seen. To find these, we have to go back to the very beginning. Just moments after the Big Bang, 13.8 billion years ago. This was a time when tiny black holes, called primordial black holes, could pop into existence before any stars or galaxies even formed. We've never actually observed them, maybe because they're too small or they've already evaporated, but we theorize these tiny, dense pockets of gravity once existed. What's wild is that a primordial black hole could be as small as a femtometer, but still weigh as much as a mountain. For our scenario, let's start with a black hole that has the exact same mass as Earth. You wouldn't see it coming because it would be tiny, smaller than a coin, with an event horizon just under 2 centimeters wide. But it would possess the gravity of our entire planet. Imagine this coin-sized black hole flying by Earth like a bullet. It would take just 0.04 seconds to pass. Depending on how close it got, the effects would be devastating. Its gravity would pull on different parts of Earth with different strengths. The side of Earth facing it would be stretched more strongly than the far side. These tidal forces would put immense strain on our planet's crust. Even just flying by, this tiny visitor could trigger massive tsunamis, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions all over the globe. Worse, it would yank Earth right out of its orbit. Our planet could get pulled into a wild new path, maybe closer to the Sun, causing extreme and rapid climate change. Or we could be pushed further out, closer to Mars, leaving the Sun's habitable zone and plunging our world into a deep, fast freeze. But what if it didn't just pass by? What if it went straight through? It would be like piercing our planet with an extremely fast, unbelievably massive needle. The black hole would create a narrow tunnel all the way through Earth. Anything in its path would be stretched and torn apart by tidal forces, a process horribly known as spaghetti. Massive earthquakes would ripple through the entire planet in seconds. Fault lines on the other side of the world would slip. Entire tectonic plates could shift. This wouldn't be a local earthquake. It would be the crust cracking everywhere at once. Being on Earth for this would be horrifying, and you wouldn't even know why it was happening, because you'd never see the black hole coming. Okay, let's up the ante. When it comes to black holes, it's not size that matters. It's mass. Let's move on to a stellar mass black hole. One as massive as 10 suns. Despite weighing 10 times more than our Sun, it would still only be about 59 kilometers wide. That's less than an hour's drive on the highway. But that tiny shadow packs enough gravity to shred planets. From the moment this black hole entered the outer edges of our solar system, you'd have about 5.5 hours until total chaos. 4 hours and 50 minutes in, astronomers would see its effect on Jupiter. It wouldn't strip gas from the giant planet, but we would detect strange gravitational anomalies. 30 minutes later, Mars would be in its gravitational grip. Mars wouldn't be swallowed unless it was directly in the black hole's path. More likely, it would be torn apart or flung out of orbit completely. As it got closer to us, things would feel ... off. The night sky would start to distort. Stars might appear to swirl around a dark point. This is called gravitational lensing. But you'd need a powerful telescope to see it because the black hole is still physically small. Then you'd feel the ground shifting. That's not your imagination. It's Earth itself, slightly stretching toward the black hole as its gravity pulls harder on one side. Seconds later, things get violent. The planet's crust would crack across continents. Tides would surge violently, not from wind or the moon, but from pure gravity. Earthquakes would erupt everywhere. The moon might even be ripped away from Earth's orbit. Our planet would survive, but it would be stretched, damaged, and sent on a new, unstable path. But what if it was on a direct collision course? You wouldn't stand a chance. The black hole would rip through our planet like a bullet that weighs as much as 10 suns, moving at 300,000 kilometers per second. The crust, the mantle, the core, everything would be pulled inward and shredded by tidal forces. Just 0.04 seconds later, it would tear out the other side, leaving a tunnel of superheated, collapsing matter. Shockwaves would circle the globe. Oceans would boil. The atmosphere would ignite, and entire continents would crack and collapse. Earth wouldn't be swallowed whole, just ruptured and left bleeding debris into space. The black hole wouldn't even slow down. Now, let's get even bigger. Meet the intermediate black holes. These are much rarer. They weigh between a few hundred and a few 100,000 times the mass of our sun. Scientists think they form when smaller black holes collide and merge. A black hole 1,000 times more massive than our sun would be catastrophic. This monster would be about half the size of Earth. As it approached, it would tear Earth apart with its enormous gravity. On top of the usual volcanoes and earthquakes, this beast would tug Earth closer, swallowing chunks of our planet as it passed. It would leave Earth with a tilted axis, an unstable orbit, and a civilization collapsing in slow motion. And if it were on a direct path through our planet, it wouldn't just collide. It would replace the space where Earth used to be in a fraction of a second. The ground would curve, rocks would lift into the air, and time itself would slow near its event horizon. Then, breach. The black hole would swallow the planet instantly. Cities wouldn't even have time to burn. They would just stretch and vanish. With the planet's core gone, Earth would collapse in on itself so fast you wouldn't have time to blink. Scary, right? But that's not even the worst of them. Meet Phoenix A*, the most massive black hole we've ever found. It has a mass of 100 billion suns. Its event horizon is so vast. It's 100 times wider than the distance from the sun to Pluto. It could swallow our entire solar system without a problem. If Phoenix A* flew by, its titanic gravity would warp space itself. Even from the outer edges of our solar system, every planet would feel its presence. Neptune and Uranus would drift from their orbits. Hours later, the inner planets would be disturbed. Earth's path around the sun would start to deform. By the time you realized what was happening, the flyby would be imminent. The oceans facing the black hole would bulge upward, creating tides beyond anything in history, flooding everything. The atmosphere would be torn away, with supersonic winds ripping across continents. Satellites would light up the sky as they were dragged from orbit. At its closest pass, its gravity would overpower the sun's. Earth's orbit would shatter, and our planet would be flung out into deep space. For a moment, it would feel like gravity disappeared. People, cars, buildings, everything would lift off the ground. And then, as it passed, everything would come crashing down in a sudden freefall. The planet's crust would rupture everywhere. After just 0.04 seconds, Phoenix A* would race onward, leaving a permanently altered solar system in its wake. Whatever was left of Earth would become a rogue planet, drifting through the cold, dark void of space, unbound to any star. The human toll would be incalculable. It would be the end of the world. Any survivors would face an impossible challenge, adapting to a planet that is drifting toward a deep freeze. So, yes, black holes are bad news. Falling into one, even for a nanosecond, would be lethal. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this cosmic catastrophe, be sure to like and subscribe for more mind-bending scenarios.